Post-Purchase Pro podcast. This is the only podcast that dives deep into post-purchase marketing to help Amazon sellers increase sales, ranking, reviews, and profits. It's everything that happens after the initial sale that makes a difference. We call this the back end.
Hey everyone, it's your host today, Dylan Pettijohn for the Post-Purchase Pro podcast. Today we've got an exciting one. We've got Ramiro Velasco. He's an engineer, entrepreneur, and an e-commerce veteran, and most recently founded GoAdvance to bring legitimacy as well as variety to the Latin American market. Hey Ramiro, how's it going?
Hey Dylan, I'm doing well. How you doing?
Don't worry. It was not just your intro. I've done that a few times today.
Listen, I was clean. As far as I'm concerned, I was clean.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So first things first, I want to know what got you into the space? Because everybody tends to have a pretty interesting story based on what actually got them selling on Amazon.
Yeah.
Or selling in general.
I'll tell you what. So there's the nice story, right? Which is I was out of uni and I was looking for a job and blah, blah, and there is that, which is true. But if I'm being honest, I finished university. I lived in Indonesia for a bit, and then when that was done, I came back to Mexico. And salaries in Mexico are just not very good. This is just the standard pay for an engineer, which I put 4 years of my life into becoming, was nah, man, this isn't gonna work.
Yeah.
So I immediately did the next thing, which was, well, there's two economies in Mexico. There's the English-speaking economy and the Spanish-speaking economy. So I said, I'll do just any job in English. I don't have to be an engineer. And just for the record, if anyone wants me to build them a bridge, I'm not a good engineer. It's just not in my genes, Clearly, I'm a talker. And I realized, you know what, let's just look for jobs in English. And polished my resume, put it in English, started sending it out, and I landed at an Amazon agency. And they said, well, this was, a long time ago, but still, Amazon is numbers focused, right? There is creativity and there is marketing and there is lateral thinking on all stuff that I love. But ultimately, it's can you handle spreadsheets, Excel sheets? And I was well, yeah, this is actually pretty good. This is actually what I'm good at. So it was pure happenstance of me landing back into the country and then not knowing what to do in my life, started with this agency working and started solving, sellers' problems and so on after obviously some training period. And then I went, wait, I'm kind of good at this. It felt like this, wait, I have consistent results. Wait, so I got really proud of my skills. I started selling my own stuff, and this was all in the US. And then I sort of went, these clients were going hey, can we get it to Mexico? And I was yeah, sure. And then I went on, I couldn't. And I was oh, there's a business niche here. And that's what sort of got me into what I'm doing right now, which we can talk about later, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. A lot of people are a lot more self-determined, and they'll be looking and go, I want to be my own boss. I'm going to start selling on Amazon. I love that. I wish I could be them. To me, it was just it happened to me. It was pure luck. Everything in my life is just pure luck. So
that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I can't say I have a similar one. Mine was actually, so here in the States, and for perspective, I went to school to be an engineer too. I did software engineering.
Oh, very cool.
It is cool, but the thing is, which this is going to sound like a first world problem. The salaries start out pretty high, but I really didn't like working for other people. Switching things had to go down a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Right? That happens. You come in and you're well, actually, I want to be my own boss. And then the world goes, okay, well, then make your own money.
Yeah.
You're oh, God, this is stressful. Well,
yeah.
You figure it out and it starts working out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like it really has been something that's been like really popularized over the past few years of just like, oh yeah, just do your own thing. It's so much easier than having like a W-2 job or something
Yeah.
like that. But to be completely honest, I find it significantly easier to get a W-2 job because they will pay you way more than what you're worth right away. Because if you started a business on your own and you didn't know how to do ads or you didn't know how to manage somebody's Amazon account, you're not getting paid at all.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will say, and right, we're getting radical right off the bat. So, uh,
Yeah, love it.
it's stuff that I like. I will say there is a reason. So I don't think everyone should be going
Mhm.
business route. Like it's insane. I think a lot of the mentality is, well, why don't you start your own business? Because I want work-life balance. Like, what are you talking about? Because I want to see my wife at the end of the day. You know, like there's a
Mhm.
lot of stuff that I don't think the traditional human experience should be the business world and starting your own thing and so on. Because you have to be a little bit silly to think I want to dedicate my life to like intensely to this, right?
Yeah,
So I'm a big proponent of don't do it. If it's like, oh, how would you start? Don't. Are you insane? Um,
yeah.
that being
Just a
said,
little.
yeah. That being said, I do believe that the reason that this sort of like be your own boss mentality, I will software engineering is an exception because the salaries, like you say, are let's say very comfortable. Everyone that has makes good money, they go,
Yeah,
I'm comfortable. It's very comfortable. But in general, what we're seeing is wages across the board are not really keeping up with like cost of living, right? So
exactly.
this idea of like, hey, just start your own business has become this necessity because it's like whatever I'm doing in this office is not paying my bills, right?
Yeah,
So I think a lot of this like Amazon sellers or like people that are doing Fiverr gigs or people that, like any sort of like this the gig economy, it's just a natural progression, and this interest in it is this natural progression for a youth for which the system isn't really working for them anymore.
yeah.
So
I don't think people really like the roof that they're really restricted by, especially like I mean, I've met plenty of people being in this space that are like 20, 21, 22 that are absolutely crushing it on
yeah,
ecom, but
yeah,
I don't think that if they went and got a W-2 job, they could make and don't get me wrong, you can have both at the same time.
yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
it's perfectly possible, but I don't think they would be able to pull the kind of numbers they're pulling. And I think that's the biggest attraction is just like
yeah,
not liking the roof of like, okay, I'm only going to make this at this company
yeah,
for X years. And, you know,
yeah. No, for sure. I mean, it's impossible, and yeah, I like the people that are crushing it. I love it, and I love it for them. The stress. I don't think I would. And as someone that is dedicating their life
yeah,
to this, I'm like, geez, man, like, yeah, like take a hold of it. But if you're not doing it, don't feel guilty about it. You know,
yeah.
like I don't know. It's such mixed feelings of like I preach one thing and then I'm doing the other.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I've met people that are actually doing like a 4-hour work week style thing where they've gotten to that point and love it. I'm
Yeah,
not there.
exactly. Yeah, likewise. No, likewise. And I think, and to me, it's been a huge change from selling
Mhm.
or agency work, which are like both Amazon focused, to the business work of all right, now you have to organize people.
Yeah.
All right, now you have to figure out like who's in charge of this process. You're like, oh god, like all right, this is just meeting upon meeting upon meeting. Whereas when you're just well, not just because it's incredibly stressful, but when you're a
Yes.
seller, you're um you're like setting your hours. And you know that like, oh, I procrastinated for an hour. All right, that's like an hour that I didn't get that extra half a point in conversion rate. Like, like
Mhm.
you don't feel so bad. So I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird space to be in.
Yeah. No, it
Yeah.
really is. So with Go Advance, you guys are helping people get into Latin America. How?
Can I first complain a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just whine? The Latin American landscape is very protectionist. Now, as a local, I'm like, yeah, of course, protect our local industries. Every single, big country in the planet does it. Every single established economy protects their key markets, of course. As a seller, I'm like, can you just not? Can you get out of the way, please? Right. So to tell you a little bit of our story,
Mhm.
we realized Mexican market was barren. Where like we started looking across Latin America, Amazon, Mercado Libre, the other minor marketplaces, and we're like, wait, there's no options to buy what we want. Like we all lived in the States for a bit, and we all lived like abroad, and we're like, wait, a lot of the stuff we want to buy is either through NARF, which sucks, or or just not available. So can we fix it? And we're just, I describe myself as just like, as a seller central monkey. Like I don't know, I'm just good at this bit,
Mhm.
and or yeah, and going from there to going like, yeah, we can do logistics, yeah, we can do importing, yeah, we can do regulations. It was insane. Like, what are you doing? So we looked at this marketplace and we're like, all right, let's do it. We can build our own business and then we can start helping other people come in that way. Now, for context, I am Mexican. I do know people here. You know how
Mhm.
hard it was to set up my own business entity? Being here, boots on the ground, speaking the language. You know how hard it was to get like a tax ID number, which you need for like FBA, for like use of FBA. You know how hard it was to get like an accountant that understands what Amazon is like. It was an absolute nightmare. I'm talking like 8 months of setup of like,
Wow.
yeah, it was so silly. A great, like a story that I like telling that just sort of summarizes this entire thing was, I was going, all right, we need a tax ID. We have the business entity. It's just not registered, with the equivalent of the IRS here. It's called the SET. Uh, we go to try to sign up. They go, there's no appointments. I'm like, what do you mean there's no appointments? They're like, there's no slots. There's no time to book. They went off for like 2 months. Like literally 2 months of going, please hello, Mr. Government, let me give you my money. And they would go, tough luck. I went outside and stepped and like knocked and went like, hello, can I? They were like, no. Um, Leaving the bathroom one day, like in the co-working space that I like working at, I meet a friend. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, I'm just stressed. I can't get freaking IRS." He goes, "Oh, my brother works there. Just text him." I texted him like, "Hey man, what's up? Yeah, come on in. Can you do tomorrow? Sure." I went in and I got my tax ID. Like the bureaucracy doesn't work to get it to help us. So anyway, it sucks here. It does. The bureaucracy sucks here. We realized having our business entity, hey, we can be the sellers. Like, so it's a super straight, like it's literally distribution has existed since you would pick up spices in India and take them to Europe, right? Like it's
Mhm.
existed forever. But for us, it feels a little bit less like straight distribution and more like bridge building. Whereas like, we built a bridge to get you in, so that's what we're doing. We're bringing the bridge, we're selling through our own accounts, and we're just like sending the cash back through loopholes. I hate saying that
Interesting.
word. But going through loopholes to like lower this barrier to entry. Because ultimately, I'm looking at Mexico and I'm going, hey, I want to sell there, but I don't know how much it's going to cost me well, I don't know how much I'm going to sell. I don't know what the volume's going to be like. I don't know what like the accounting's going to be like. I don't know. All this uncertainty goes beyond capital investment and beyond inventory management. So you're like, do I want to drop $30,000 that they're going to charge me for not speaking Spanish? you know, like to go into an unproven market. So our whole thesis is if we can lower these barriers to entry, the risk reward now makes sense, right? And now we can justify testing the Mexican market. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
No, that's really interesting. I'm surprised that it's that difficult to set up an entity. I mean, like just for perspective, like here where I live, I can just go on the state website and I can have that by, I don't know, maybe tomorrow and it'll be done.
it's amazing. It's beautiful. Here it's like, well, you have to go to the lawyer, especially if so. As a Mexican, you don't have these issues, but my partners are American.
Mhm.
So it's like, well, we need all of their apostilled documents, their certificate of formation, but also their like passports apostilled. And it's like, how do people know how to apostille something just off the top of their head? Like you have to go to a notary and do this. So big back and forth, big fights with chasing up the lawyer, going, "Hey, you said you'd have this last week. What's up?" Um, yeah, I don't recommend it to anyone. You need a Mexican partner in the country to own at least 1% of the company. Like, you need a Mexican legal representative because someone needs to, like, dude, it's a nightmare.
So you guys have been able to bridge the gap for other sellers by being I want to say like partial. Would you consider yourself a partial owner or an agency, or how is that gap being bridged? So you're selling their products, they're getting the money for that, but it's going through your account.
That's a great part. That I consider ourselves to be a distributor with an agency building.
Gotcha.
We legally are acting as distributors. We're legally doing the importing, the legal ownership of the product, and then we're, of course, logistically doing not only the transportation to our warehouse, but the warehousing, the like fulfillment, the FBA, inventory management, like all of this lands on us. So it's like I don't have to think about it. Here's my stuff. Deal with it. Tell me how much I sold. All right, neat. But functionally, because our incentives are lined up for you to sell more, we're acting like an agency in country where, it's this constant, hey man, like I think we can bump price 10%. All right, cool. Hey man, like we're actually not converting. Hey man, like we built these new images. Can you check them out? So the communication back and forth is a lot more agency like than the distributor like.
Just a distributor.
Yeah.
Have you found that the buyer behavior is different between I would imagine between the states and between Mexico, it's vastly different. Could
Very
you?
much so. Oh my God, I love this question. The way I'll start out by saying the way we should think about or conceptualize Amazon Mexico is Amazon United States maybe like 8 years ago. So, and in terms of volume as well, because obviously it's gone insane from 2016 to now, but also in terms of shopper mentality, right? And I even in that spot, even 8 years seems a little bit low. I just think it's going to catch up quicker. But when I landed in Mexico after my travels and everything, and I decided to just set up shop here, I still got hit with the questions like, wait, if you buy an Amazon, does it actually arrive to your house? Like, wait, what happens if they don't fulfill it? Have you gotten scammed? And so the trust isn't there. Mercado Libre, who was a first mover, and Mercado Libre has a lot more trust built in the community, is a little bit further ahead in that. But regardless, that we're very slow in digitizing our shopping habits. Okay, so this is step one. Step one is let's think about it as Amazon 2016. Step two, Mexico is a very heavy cash economy, cash-based economy, right? So we don't do some people do, of course, but we don't do the massive credit card debt, and we don't do like a bunch of people like corner shops recently started going, I guess we'll do credit card. I guess I'll accept your silly plastic because of fundamental distrust in the system, right? Like this is just like very ingrained in us. And what we saw is Mercado Libre, which geniuses over there, they said it's a cash-based economy. We're having a really hard time for people digitizing their shopping habits. We're gonna push that. So they started making deals with like convenience stores to be like, if someone buys something from my website, they can pay it at your shop. Okay, cool. They started rolling out credit card terminals at below cost. Like if you go to, it was Mercado Libre, and then there's also like Clip, which is a credit card processor. Basically, they saw the gap in the market, right? If you go to like your farmer's market, they'll have Clip, like, which they gave away for free because hey, if I'm gonna make 4% of anything you sell, like I'll give you the little plastic reader. So the economy is slowly being digitized. The consumer habits are slowly being digitized. When we conceptualize how we generally go looking for things, it's like, oh, I need a plunger. Why did I need a plunger? I'm gonna go to the shop and find a plunger. These generic goods you will see on Amazon top ranking. I need a plunger, I'll buy the first one or whatever. But when you're talking about like brands or like novelty products, or you're talking about like, I have this really neat idea and I'm going to break my market on Amazon, it's probably not your best bet because this person, like the consumer habit isn't yet to go and look for a solution, but rather it's either I'm Googling it or I saw it on TikTok or I'm going to Amazon to see if they have the brand or the thing that I already wanted to buy.
Mm.
So it is completely different. On top of like a bunch of stuff that we can also get into, like the demand elasticity, the price sensitivity, basically, or a bunch of these other things we can talk about. Just in general, we're seeing that very radical transformation that we saw in the States of shoppers slowly becoming more and more trusting of shopping online with more and more uh, methods of making that payment that suit them. So
That's interesting. I mean, one really cool thing about that, though, is if you're really looking at Mexico as in 8 years ago here in the States on Amazon, you can take things that you've seen businesses absolutely crush in the past 8 years on Amazon US, move it over to the Mexico, you're the first mover.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, this is something that we're actively doing by going after categories that are like, hey, we know this blew up. Like, let me go for it. I had a really interesting conversation yesterday with a potential client. But we were
Mhm.
chatting, and they do apparel, and he was like, I know what sells. I'll just send you what sells. And I was like, yeah, but can you send it a little bit smaller because we're smaller people? And he went, yeah, like he was like, yeah, I know, like American eating habits. And I was like, no, I mean, like I'm 5'10" and I'm above average. I'm like, we're quite literally smaller people, right? Like,
Oh.
so I was like, he's like, I'm 6'3". I'm like, you would tower above everyone, like, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of like nuances to it, but ultimately, yeah, absolutely, it's similar markets that are blowing. And
So, oh, sorry, go
no,
ahead.
I was gonna say, and on the other hand, what we're seeing is smaller fish in the US in a category that's very competed are becoming big fish in Mexico when we bring them in because it's that much easier to take over. Like if your PPC costs are 80% lower than they are in the US,
Mhm.
like cool, we're probably a little bit below your total value in like your total volume in the US, but we're doing it cheaper, and you're top dog here. So suddenly you got like an 80% revenue boost, like if you're a smaller fish in like supplements, which is where we've seen this, you know?
Mhm.
So there's just opportunity. You just have to be clever about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. So, you're saying if you're trying to innovate and create a new product, Mexico's not the ideal place to start with that. But if you're trying to sell something that has already proven itself, that's where this would be a really good opportunity for those people.
Yeah, I think in general, innovative products, and I'll mention someone that's not a client of mine.
Mhm.
How I wish. Uh, we all know Scrub Daddy.
Yeah.
If Scrub Daddy had come on and just been on Amazon and just hoped that PPC would get them through, like that's not how you do it. Scrub Daddy built out a whole marketing team in Mexico that is doing, their TikToks and whatever. But also they went straight to retail. Because you
Mhm.
know what? When I'm pushing my silly cart around and I see a sponge with a smile on it and I stop and pick it up, I go, wait a second. Like that's how I'm getting to know your product. Right. So we're still in that spot where it's like if you've got an innovative visual product, then probably hit Mexico with and this is something that we're partnering with people on.
Mhm.
It's do the off-platform advertising, and then you drive them here, and then we start getting this volume. But you got to build the
Interesting.
awareness first, yeah.
Interesting. So people need to know you before they'll buy, like in the States.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't know how Scrub Daddy did it. Honestly, they're so good. They're so good. Their marketing departments. And
They are good. So you mentioned price elasticity.
yeah,
What's the difference between Mexico and the States if we were to compare the two for that?
I'll redirect you to the 2016 Amazon comparison.
Mhm.
What was selling on Amazon in 2016? The cheapest one, right? Like whenever you did a search, the thing that would sell the most would be the cheapest one,
Mhm.
um, because they're in that same spot of like I just search for plunger. Listen, man, I don't need to know. Just get me the first plunger.
Mhm.
With as competition comes in, as volume comes in, we build that space to go for the higher end products, right? So in some markets, we are bringing in some let's call it luxury products, because we're starting to find that space. But in general, the Mexican market right now is quite sensitive to pricing. So when we work with our clients, we're saying, listen, We can either match your US margins, which is absolutely doable, or we can take off the market. We can take over the market if you take a little hit on these. And it's that sort of like give and take of like figuring out the right spot to let us. Listen, I'm a sales guy. If I could, I would. I mean, I'm not a salesman. I suck at it, but like I'm an on-platform sales guy. If I could give this stuff away to bump those numbers, I would.
Yeah.
But
No,
anyway,
that makes
either
sense.
way. So it's about being strategic. Yeah.
So would you not say that that's more of like a categorical thing? Because even for me, like if I'm looking, I don't know, for example, I'm looking for dish sponges. Like I'm not going to go for the most premium product, still being a consumer in the States. But if I'm going for supplements or protein powder or something like that,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to buy, I'm not going to buy the cheapest thing because then I'm worried a little
Yeah,
bit.
exactly. It goes in your body. I think that's
Yeah.
that's such a distinction. Anything goes on or in your body, like it's a completely different game.
Hmm.
Like I don't know, man. Like supplements are a great one. I'm like, what am I? Am I eating chalk?
Yeah.
So there is some category to it, but there's still that. I would say, and correct me if you disagree, but I
Mhm.
think that over the past 8 years, the U.S. consumer has grown distrustful of
Yes.
Amazon just blindly, right? They're just
Yes.
like the cheapest one is probably going to suck. It's going to break soon. 8 years ago, it wasn't like that. 8 years ago, it was, oh, I got it on Amazon, and everything's pretty neat. Because it was before like junk sellers came in and started,
Mhm.
just leaving fake reviews to bump it and then get it. That's where Mexico is right now. So they're still trustful.
Yeah.
So they're like, the cheapest one, yeah, well, it's probably the same. It's probably good.
The
Wait until,
consumers.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, I didn't
Uh,
mean wait you. I mean wait them. Oh, that would be so
n-
rude. I didn't. Sorry.
no. I thought you were saying something. That's why I didn't want to interrupt.
No, sorry.
Oh gosh, what was I gonna say? The something about the consumers.
I was talking about how
It's
there's no distrust yet to that level of getting, like junk.
Oh, yes. So have you seen what they've been doing? Like the consumers have gotten extremely smart here in the States. So have you seen like, and I can't blame them for this stuff either, because when I see companies like Walmart or I see companies like Target putting Black Friday sale on something, and then when they peel back the tag, it's the same price that it
Yeah.
normally sells for, or it's 5% off.
Yeah.
Like that's not a deal like it used to be. And I think it's funny that these consumers are going and frying these companies on like TikTok and Facebook and YouTube because they're like, hey, this isn't a deal at all. You guys are just flat out lying to people.
Yeah. And oh my God. But it's been such standard practice for so long.
Yeah.
Like we're as consumers, we're going, hey, hold on. Now in retail, the American consumer is going to be the exact same thing. You go to like I was at Walmart maybe 6 months ago, and I was like, there was a bottle of Jack Daniel's honey, which my partner really likes. I
Mhm.
was gonna pick it up, and it's like on sale, and I'm like sick, and I lifted it up, and it was the exact same price underneath. I'm like, what is this scam? But online, that's not happening yet. Online, people still trust it, so I'll go for the cheapest one gladly because I haven't gotten burned enough times yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you guys don't quite have the sellers from. I know a lot of people on Amazon US will talk about the Chinese
Yeah.
sellers that are selling direct from factory,
Yeah, it's like
and it's just
6 weeks delivery
bad.
time, 6-week delivery time, but it's half price. You go, all right, I'll try it out.
And it sucks.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Yeah, but there's a market for everything.
There is.
Yeah.
So really, how fast do you expect Amazon Mexico to pick up? Because you say it's 8 years behind, but I guarantee you're not the only person that has seen this. That there's a difference.
Oh, don't remind me. Don't
Sorry.
remind me. Like it's this constant thing of being like, hey, we just found out there's like not a competitor. We quite literally haven't found like a direct competitor, but it's like, hey,
Mhm.
there's someone in this space doing it differently than us. Okay, cool. Like, oh, okay. So it does feel like there's a ticking time where it's like I have
Yeah.
to be on right now.
Yeah.
But I think there's a couple of things. I think whoever's directing at Amazon is making a huge push because I'm so used to saying Jeff,
Mhm.
but Jeff isn't around anymore. Whoever Jeff's substitute is making a strong push. I think when you have the pressure of ever, I want the stock graph to be going up and to the right 24/7. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be constantly acquiring new consumers. There's a huge push in Mexico and Brazil. Brazil is just absolutely going crazy, and abroad. Like Australian market's going really well. Japanese market's going crazy. I do think we're looking at a shorter time frame to get to, maybe not volume wise, but sort of like consumer wise and expectations wise, to the US. I think this market's going to mature very quickly. Like, I'm talking 8 years. If it took us 5 to get there, it would seem like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's literally our entire thesis: is we want to grow with the market. Listen, I'm not promising you that we're going to you're going to absolutely match your US sales and it's going to go crazy, but it's like, do you want to start establishing your brand presence way earlier and for way cheaper than you would otherwise, and grow with the market and have these 30, 40, 50% year over year just market growths before marketing, before everything? It's like that is such a no-brainer. When you come from an agency, it's really tough. And there's like, even selling, you're like, I can't guarantee that the changes I'm making or that the strategy that I'm putting out is 100% gonna have a positive effect on your product, right? Like, it's like, I'm taking the best probability bet that I can offer. But and anyone that's like, oh no, dude, I'll triple your sales, you're a snake oil salesman. Like, I don't trust you. Like, there's a process here, and we're taking high probability bets. What I really like about my business model and about what we're doing is, like, day one, the value is provided by being here, by establishing. It's like ROI positive from the get-go, just from, look, I've already gotten you in. Cool. Now, if we can make you a ton of money like that, I hope so. And I'm going for it. But like, the comfort of knowing that we've already lowered that barrier and you're in the country for, a couple $1,000 instead of 10, 20, 30,000 bucks, like, it's already like okay, no anxiety anymore. Let's just grind it out and let's just try to keep offering these high probability bets,
Yeah, I think it's another good thing. If they're already established in the US, they're doing good and they're looking to expand other countries. It's something where, like, do you might be in 10th or 12th place, you might be in 5th place in America, or even way further back. But if there isn't something, like, we already said, it has to be something that they already kind of know what it is and they're already looking for this thing. But if it's something like that, like, for example, supplements, and you're able to establish yourself as one of the biggest brands in that space on Amazon, I think that's more than worth it, because you become the household name there.
Dude, literally. Like, in Mexico, we have Wonder Bread, and we also have Bimbo. Bimbo is a local, like, Mexican one. I don't think it's Mexican. I think it was sold. I think some conglomerate owns it. I have no idea. I think it's Coca-Cola's or whatever, but like, the one that was here first is Bimbo. I'm partial to Wonder Bread. I think it's nicer. I think it tastes better than Bimbo. And I don't want any of these high, seed. Listen, I'm making myself a sandwich. I don't want to have health in it. Like, oh, it's got flaxseed in it. Shut up. Anyway, when you're referring to any sort of box bread, it's Bimbo. That's it. It's Bimbo. I brought Bimbo, and it's Wonder Bread. I brought Bimbo, and it's like, like, fancy, whatever.
It's like Kleenex.
Exactly. It's Kleenex. Listen, if you have a 1% chance of doing that in a country, that is worth it. Like, like, a lot of people like to talk in absolutes, especially in the business world. Everyone's going like, oh no, dude, like, everyone's offering probability points. And most people don't like hearing that. But listen, like, the probability points of being in Mexico at the barrier to entry that we can offer is like, it makes me really proud of what I'm doing. And so some days when you're just having a really bad day and you're going, oh, I don't want to answer this dude on like this dude's email because it's so annoying. You go, dude, you're doing something neat. You're doing something neat. Just grind it out. So yeah, I don't know. It's just I hate these absolutes that people talking.
Yeah, I mean, anything we really do in business, we're not 100% sure that it's going to play out exactly as our thesis states. Like, I mean, we might be taking a 70% probability bet, 50%
Yeah.
probability bet, but we're also looking at like, especially with the ones that are like, it's a lower probability. So, like, let's say, I don't know, you're launching a product and you go and launch, instead of one, you launch 5 because you're taking low probability bets, but you're doing multiple of them. So you have a
Yes.
likelihood that one will hit, and the returns are going to be so asymmetric with that it doesn't even matter that you, let's say you spent 30,000 on 5 products, like you burned that money, fine, you're going to make way more than that with this other product.
Yeah. If one of them took off, like,
Yeah.
listen, you're good, and that's what a lot of sellers don't like thinking about. How do we get everything else up, dude? I can get you 10% across the board, or I can get you 10% on your main product, and it's literally like 10x more than whatever the other little ones were doing, you know? And it's like, I'm ashamed to say this, but I traded for a living. I traded crypto for a living for 2 years.
Mhm.
So it really puts you in that mindset of, what's the risk, what's the reward? Am I willing to flip this coin?
Literally.
Yeah, literally, man. Like there's a chance that like I wake up tomorrow and Twitter just put my net worth through the ground. But
Yeah.
and it happens. It happens. There's a chance that one Telegram message lost me thousands of dollars. And you're like, yeah, I thought it was going up.
Yeah. No, it's I haven't touched that space. I feel like I talk to a lot of people that are in the software space and in the e-com space, and they're like, "Oh, you got to check it out." But I'm like,
Don't.
I haven't yet. I haven't yet, and I didn't plan on it.
Stay away. I mean, I got out of it because it was so bad for my mental health. Like there were
Mhm.
some tools that I used back in, because this is 2019.
Mhm.
There were some tools that I used that wouldn't really work on my phone. So one time, I literally had to leave the cinema with my partner, and I was like, "Listen, I have to go home because this is really important." Midway through a movie, got up, left, went home, clicked like 7 buttons on my computer, and then just are like, "All right, do you want to do dinner now?" That's no life. Don't do that. No one do that.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
It it's wild.
It's so
I see
bad.
people that are really big into it, and especially with the higher leverage stuff.
Oh my god! And then Twitter, everyone's just like trying to get you to either buy their coins or use their referral codes, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Just become a millionaire. Just make sure to use my code." I'm like, if you have that much money, I don't think you care about my referral code. Like
Yeah.
there's something wrong here. Or buy my course. Oh my god, I hate you so much. We're so off topic, but yeah,
No worries. No
I've been in a
worries.
lot of spaces. Yeah.
I love it. But if we want to navigate back to topic, you had a special offer for anybody that is listening to the podcast to get a free market analysis to see if Mexico would be a good fit for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think again, when you come from the agency space, dude, you don't want people mad at you. You don't want to work with someone and have like I undersell everything. And my partners hate this because I'm very clearly not a salesman. I'm like the behind the scenes guy. Um so I tend to undersell everything. So I don't want to work with anyone that comes in and goes, "Oh yeah, I saw the market. I think we can do, like we can take over immediately." And I'm like, no, wait, hold on. Let's look at the middle case scenario and the worst case scenario. And are you still good with this? If you're good with this, cool. Now let's move forward. Right.
Mhm.
And if we hit it out of the park, that's fantastic. But I need to make sure that you're aware of like not every single, but a wide array of possibilities. The example I like giving is like everyone knows one like space, one like restaurant. So I don't know what you call it, like space that constantly like opens a new restaurant and then it shuts and then it opens a new one and then it shuts. And like, yeah, because every single person is doing the math and going, well, if we fill out every single day of the week, then we'll break even. And you're like, but that's not how it works. I don't want this.
Yeah.
So our special offer is quite literally come and let me see if it works. Let me send you a market analysis. Let me show you the viability of your market in Mexico. And if there is a market, sick, let's do it. Let's work together, right? Let's make sure this we can hit this.
That's
But
awesome.
it's rough, man. I am conflict averse. I don't like people being mad at me.
So I agree in the agency space. I like the underselling. I think what I would call what you do a little bit more than just not liking selling is, one, you want to make sure the value's there,
Yeah.
and you're doing consultative sales. So you're like, if this doesn't work for you, I'm not selling it to you, and
Yeah.
that's that.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah.
So last question I wanted to ask, and this is off the wall. Is there one thing that you bought in the past year that you would consider a splurge, but you do not regret it?
Oh, you can. Right
Keyboard?
here, man. I bought an electric piano.
Uh-huh.
I'm a very simple guy, and I keep talking about this in my personal life. Whereas, like, I have no interest in fancy things or showing it. I'm not. It was my birthday 2 months ago. And I was like, I have no idea how to play the piano. I'm gonna get a nice electric piano with weight keys and just, entry level, but I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna try to see if I can learn. Not very good. I've played guitar my whole life. I've sang my whole life. This thing is new to me, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But
It's
yeah,
awesome.
I don't know. I'm not a big splurge. Like, I splurge on like restaurants. I splurge on like eating like way too good every single day. Other than that, like, I'm such a simple guy. Like, I don't care for
I'm with you there.
right. Like,
Yeah.
money is so I don't know if it's the ADHD or what, but money is so ethereal. It's so, like, I don't understand its existence and as like a anything other than a way to get me more food into my mouth. Like, I don't.
So, just from my perspective, I have found that I look at it as a way to buy, I don't want to say buy time, but not have to work so much. So,
You know,
which is kind of funny because everybody starts a business because they want to make more money because they want
yeah.
free time, but the businesses usually take a lot of time to run.
Yes. So much. I mean, if that's the case, I'll tell you, like, one of my biggest purchases is that I have 3 times a week cleaning lady, and I live alone in a small apartment. Like, because
What did
again,
you do? Laundry and dishes for you?
I just don't know.
Yeah.
Like you said, like, I'm so busy. Do I want to spend the time when I get back home to clean everything? And no, I don't have the mental space for it. So
That
I
makes
think
sense.
I think when you're putting it that way, it just, yeah, that's definitely
It's worth it.
splurge. Yeah, no, but that's definitely, like, irresponsible of me to just have her come and help me 3 times a week to keep this place nice. Yeah,
It's funny though. No, I like that one. I
yeah.
like the piano too, but
Thank you. I'm really enjoying it. I highly recommend it to anyone that wants to pick something new.
yeah. Well, this has been fantastic. May, can you sign us off?